And we're back in the room. Right, guys, it's been a good few weeks since the last uploaded, but do we have a video to come back to? In fact, this is probably the most valuable video for anyone who's looking to get into remote high-ticket closing, or if you're currently a remote closer, or lastly, if you're a business owner and you have a sales team. Now, just to give some context before we get into the video, this is a live, closed sales call recording of me selling someone else's offer, not selling my own offer, not selling my own coaching program, because you see a lot of people online, look at me close this high ticket sales call, $5,000 deal, paid in full on the call. You're selling your own stuff. Anyone can sell their own stuff. It's easy. True salesmanship, remember this. True salesmanship is selling someone else's offer consistently at a very high level and collecting $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 cash collected consistently and selling for someone else's offer. That is true salesmanship, and that is exactly what I did for 2.5 years when I was a remote high-ticket closer myself. Please feel free to go through my YouTube, but also my Instagram highlights for receipts. The reason why I share receipts with you guys is to be transparent, because I can think of maybe 2 or 3 people within the industry that can actually show you that they've done this and sold someone else's offer at a high level. They've done it themselves, okay? I've come from a corporate sales background for 2.5 years and somewhat got to the pinnacle for my age with that and did the same within remote high-ticket closing. There's not many people that I know have done that, or not that I can see receipts of anyway. But another reason why I want to share this call with you guys is to just show you what an actual high-ticket sales call recording looks like. Okay, now, again, before we dive in, just to give a little bit more context of like what this call's all about. So about 3 months ago now, a very good friend of mine reached out to me. He was actually my old sales manager on the first ever offer I worked on. And he said, look, Connor, I'm working with a client. We're doing a webinar. We need 2 closers for just 4 days. Okay, we just need 2 closers for 4 days because we're going to, at the end of the webinar, say, look, everyone, if you're interested in what it is, it was land sourcing. Okay, that was the thing. It was actually planning uplifting, should I say? Planning uplifting. So it's to do with it's a property offer, basically. If you're interested in doing it and want to work with the team, please book in a call. So there was our calendar was open for basically 4 to 6 days. So he needed, literally for only 4 to 6 days, he needed 2 closers. Now, he reached out to me at the time and said, look, Con, it would be great for you. You know, like if you can squeeze in and you can make the time, I think you'd absolutely smash it. I've sold a property offer before and I know how to sell them. Obviously, I'm running Capital Closer and I'm also running my sales agency, salesleaders.io. So I'm very busy and I'm very tied up. But after a long bit of thinking and moving a few things around and putting things in place, I said, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to make time to take these call recordings because I want to show you guys here what a call recording actually looks like, how to go about it, and just give you guys as much value as possible. So that's exactly what I did. I'll probably go through in another video, like how much I ended up making, how many deals I closed. I'll probably go into the statistics on another video, but I just want to share this video to begin with. Now, this specific person, even more context, this specific person did not book a call. I didn't even know this until after the call. This person didn't actually book a call, right? So he didn't book a call off his own accord. He's what we call an attending non-buyer. So he didn't book in a call. So you could call him a cold lead if you want. Up to you. So basically, one of our phone setters called him and booked him in. So he didn't book off his own accord. He was like, brilliant, I'm going to have a chat and see what it's about. So he still watched 3 days of learning about the opportunity and understood about the business model, but he didn't book off his own accord. And 90% of the calls that we had were people booking off their own accord. So you could somewhat say this guy was a cold lead. Now, I'm going to share the last 17 minutes of this call. Okay, I'm not going to share the whole call with you. As much as I love you guys, that's for the guys inside the community, inside Capital Closer. But at the same time, I do want to share as much as humanly possible so you guys can see snippets. Because if I do that, I won't have anything left for those guys. But I'm going to share the last bit of the call. So he gives me a bit of objections. Okay, so he's given me some objections. I think I dropped the investment here. And we go through the rest of the call. So I'm going to shut up now. Hopefully that's given you context. I'm going to play the call and we're going to go from there. Right?
From fulfillment and everything else. How do we sort of feel about that as a whole?
Yeah, good. Yeah, and again, no surprises there. Kind of backs up what I think some of the emails and the info that had already been sent across. It backs up that. So that's good to know. I think that the sort of dedicated access piece is certainly the one that really speaks to me. Yeah, all sounds positive.
Awesome. So yeah, from my side of things, what I'll do is I'll give you sort of kind of the two separate investment options. I mean, at the end of the day, it's for the same thing. It's not like I'll go for this one
Okay.
for the same thing. But I suppose that aside for the time being, I mean, is this something that you're sort of looking to be involved with?
So just to give some context of where we are at the call, guys, there's 7 parts of a high ticket sales call: the intro, the frame, the discovery, the transition, the pitch, the close, and objection handling. We are essentially at the close at this point. Okay, so I'm dropping the investment, and what I'm doing is I'm getting a tie down. I'm getting an understanding, and before I drop the investment, before I get the money on the table, where's this guy at? Is this something he 100% wants to be involved with? Because you've got to understand, certainty or uncertainty is the thing you need to handle before money's on the table. If someone's umming and ahhing and they're not 100% sure and then money's on the table, it's a lot harder to deal with. You want to make sure before the investment is dropped, they are all in. This makes sense. I want to do it. Money aside, I am all in. That is what you want before dropping the investment. You want certainty, so that when you do drop the investment, the only hopefully thing that you have to deal with is if there is an objection, it's just logistics. I don't have the $5,000, but I've got $3,000. That sort of thing. Obviously, that's not how sales works. There's other objections that come up, but ideally, in an ideal world, that is what you'd want. Okay, so
yes, definitely.
Cool.
Usually, again, I want to critique myself here. I don't want to just say, well done throughout. There are parts of the call that I can critique myself here. A line I always say, is this something you're 100% looking to be involved with? That key language there, 100%. A lot of people like to do a temp check, which is like, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being this is 100% what I want to do. I should have signed up yesterday. 1 being, I hate this, I want to get off the phone. Where would you put yourself? A lot of people like to do that before dropping the investment and getting an understanding. And if they're not a 10, sort of, pre-handling the objection and understanding how we can get them to a 10 before dropping the investment. What I like to do, and I don't advise it for all beginners, because it's very much a feeling thing for me. I understand their tonality, their body language, and I understand them throughout the call. It's just a simple question. Is this something you're 100% looking to be involved with? And I can normally tell from their answer there, where even if they say yes, body language is a bit off, tonality, pacing was a little bit slow, I'm going to probe on that a little bit and go, okay, well, when you mean 100%, what do you sort of mean? Is this something you're 100% looking to be involved with? I mean, would you have done it sort of yesterday? That sort of thing. Just that definitive, 100% all in is what we want. Because if someone says yes to that, it's very hard to wriggle away. Like, obviously, Robert Cialdini, there's a book called Influence. He talks about consistency bias. People want to remain consistent. Okay, so if they're constantly going down a specific path saying, yes, I'm 100% committed, yes, I'm 100% in, when you drop the investment, them saying no, it just psychologically doesn't make sense.
Awesome. So what I'll do is I'll give you a rundown, let me know which probably makes best sense, and we can sort of get rocking and rolling from there. So effectively, the option 1 is probably the most common. Nigel is the most straightforward, and it's the cheapest overall, because it's just a one, and this is for a lifetime, both of these options. I'm up for an investment of £6,000. That's legit. Okay. So that's option 1, and then option 2 is it's a little bit more expensive in the long run, but again, it's much easier and cheap to get started with as soon as possible, because it's 2 instalments over 2 months of £4,000.
Okay, so what I did there, guys, was something called the option close. I don't always recommend it. I don't think people should always use it. Usually in sales, it's just a upfront investment. Right, the investment is £5,000. What I'll do now is send over the enrollment link, and we're good to go from there, if that sounds good. So that's one way of just dropping the investment. It's just one thing. I sometimes normally like to do an option close, and what I normally do is you need to speak with the person that you're selling for at the time, but I spoke with them and they said it wasn't an issue. Make option 2, which is a 2-pay, splitting it in 2 months, basically work out to be really bad, and make option 1, it makes option 1 look a lot more attractive. So I said option 1 is £6,000, and I obviously gave a little bit of wording. You've always got to explain the pros and the cons of it, okay, because it sort of helps them sort of digest it. The pros are the cheapest overall, but it's a bit more upfront. And then option 2, the second option, is 2 instalments over 2 months of £4,000. So a little bit easier, cheaper to get started with, but works out a little bit more in the long run. So as you can see, anyone with common sense would just go for the £6,000, but it's a way of which one are you going for rather than should I do this or not. And I know, look, people have their own strategies, blah, 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 but for me, option close always works.
Okay, so 8K in total.
Yeah, one's good for cash flow, one's cheaper overall.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, benefits both ways. Okay. Cool. Time frame wise, obviously, I know you keep there's regular talk about this particular cohort in terms of probably getting them on board and started.
As you can see, he's he's not really answering my question. You know, it's a case of yes or no, do you want to do this? He's now going back into, questions. So again, you can sense here he's a little bit fight or flight. Not an issue. When someone's asking you a question, I'm, again, not sure if I do this, always a case of digest it, short, simple answer back. Or have them clarify what they mean by that, and then answer it. Because if you answer the question and it's almost like a loaded question, it shoots you in the foot if you answer it the wrong way. So you always want, and why do you ask that? Just so I can sort of best answer that question for you. And then it gives you, because I've had a bad experience with X, Y, Z. You need to know, right, okay, I'm not going to mention that. Okay.
Is there a time frame by which people have to say yes and then agree to, whichever of those options that they want and make first payments, etc.? Or is there a way where you could say, look, I want to do it, but maybe can actually hit the pause button for a month or two, potentially, for whatever reason?
Again, he's trying to be very comfortable. Look, who wants to drop £6,000? Not many people, right? But at the end of the day, the question is, what is the right thing for you to do right now? I know it's uncomfortable, but does the best version of you bite the bullet and step out of his comfort zone so he can reap the rewards later down the line? Or does he do what he normally does and goes in his shell, goes away, thinks about it, and stays in the same place he is now in 1 to 2 months? What do you think he does? That's always the mindset. And we're just helping people. This is why coaching, consulting is the best thing to sell ever, in terms of the things that I've sold, because you're actually helping people. Like, it's a transformation. You're not selling some random car or watch or something that people don't really care about. Like, you're actually changing people's lives. So it's just a case of helping them. All right, helping them, being a leader. And again, many, you'll hear our answer this. Many sales guys will go, you can have as much time as you want to think about it. Or they say, no, you need to make a decision now. See, those are two different ways you can go about it. Very chill or very direct. You want to be in the middle. If you're too direct, it's like, who wants to listen to a pushy, weird salesperson? You want them to come to their own conclusion why they should buy rather than you telling them.
What's the deal there?
Yeah, so the deal, and this is why we do cohorts, just from an in. Look, obviously, as Ella's given a lot of her one-to-one time away, it's why we don't do them so much. So this cohort is closing this Friday.
I was ill at this moment in time, so if I sound a bit off, bear with.
In terms of people coming on board with the enrollment, and then the next cohort, I believe, is mid-April.
So the good thing about the offer that I was actually selling was it was almost a cohort. It's not usually the case, guys. Usually it's just you sell all year round. But for this specific client, because it was a one-off sort of occasion, it was a cohort. So there was an ending point of when you could join. And then she wasn't accepting any more people for another 3 months. To be honest with you, to be fair, the next cohort was actually in 3 months' time, but I told him it was in 6 months. Why? Because he needs to know that that's not the answer. The answer isn't the next cohort. And if I'm chucking on an extra 3 months, so be it. You need to understand that you need to do it now. Not because I'm telling you, because you need to do this. Because of what you told me on the call, I know this is a good fit for you.
Okay.
So, bit of a while away, but again, depends on where you're at from the option standpoint. I mean, in terms of where you're at, I mean, what sort of is more doable, or where do you sit, I suppose?
Again, just getting a bit of clarity and sort of testing him. Where's he at?
I think in terms of option 1 or 2, I think option 1 is probably the better one because, option 2 is still 4K up front as opposed to 6K, but so the actual difference there isn't that phenomenal.
It's the whole concept of it,
really. So probably the one-off payment of 6K is the one that I would go for. Do I feel like I'm in a position to go for this right now? Close, but I guess what I would say is I've jumped at opportunities once or twice in the past without maybe quite giving it.
What are we thinking here? Bad experiences. Okay, he's had a bad experience in the past, which I uncovered in the discovery anyway. So I knew that was going to come at the close. So I'm ready to handle it. And you'll listen to how I handle that now.
Complete due diligence and thought process. So, I almost don't want to jump until I'm completely ready. But at the same time, I don't want to sit on the fence for too long. I need to be told on Friday, sorry, all the spaces are gone, you missed the boat, next opportunity is in April and it's gone up another X thousand by then, blah, blah, blah. Do you see what I mean? So that, close, but I almost need to give a little bit more time perhaps on my side just to make sure
Time is never going to be the thing, and don't say this on calls, but I'm just telling you guys, time's never the thing that makes you go away and realize you need to do the thing. That's never the thing, okay? You know that you need to, everyone wants to take the comfortable route. To be a top performing salesperson, you need to be a leader, okay? And you need to command respect and authority throughout the call, so that when you are handling objections, it hits home Bloody hell, that was a mouthful. It hit her. Yeah, we're just going to move on from that. Because if you don't, your objection handling sequence doesn't hit as hard, right? Because if you're being pushed over and you don't have a good discovery and you're not really getting inaction and consequence and going through the sales process correctly, they're going to push all over you and walk all over you in that objection handling sequence. But if this guy respects you and you're telling him what you think he should do, it's a lot more of a better sort of dynamic, okay? So again, it's just a case of helping him here, showing him that the grass is greener and holding his hand and walking him across that. Do not panic, calm down and walk him through.
A little bit more due diligence.
Yeah.
So he's saying basically he needs more time to make the decision.
And from a due diligence standpoint, on what specifically?
Again, I'm just getting into clarify because due diligence, what do you even mean by that? You've been on the webinar for 3 days. You know what we do. You know what we're about. You know what the price point is. Like, come on, stop mucking around here. What do you mean by that? See, he doesn't even know.
I think just looking into a little bit more of looking into.
See, he's shaking his head. He's like, yeah.
Land Profits itself, Ella herself, and maybe even, if I'm able, reaching out to a couple of the success stories.
What's that going to do, right? Again, don't say this on the call, but what's the, he's looking for certainty here that what we do works, okay? But at the same time, like, you can't expect. Basically, the mindset is it's all down to you to get results. It's not up to Jim, Sally, or Jeff. It's like personal training, for example. You could have a personal trainer who gets fantastic results, but there's no point speaking to the clients. What you need to worry about is, are you going to track your macros? Are you going to do your cardio? Are you going to do progressive overload? Because that's what lead the results, right?
So it's more of a case of just making sure that we can deliver more than anything.
Again, getting clarity here because I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, now we're isolating. It's he wants the clarity that we can deliver results.
I guess probably the one thing that we haven't touched upon, but it was mentioned in the email, that would perhaps remove some of that need for due diligence, and perhaps expedite the process a little bit, was, I think and it was an email from Ella herself, one of the emails that she pinged out. It did mention about that, if you try this and it's not for you, there's a refund available. So I don't know what.
It's not very good language when someone's saying that. It's like, you don't really want them getting in the mentorship with that sort of mindset. But to be honest with you, this was a one-off thing for me. So once I came in and did the 4 days, I closed as many of people as possible, and then I sort of move on. So there was a refund guarantee in the offer itself. This is why it's important to sell for a good offer. And it was a very good offer, the one I was selling. And it actually had a very strong guarantee. It was like a 14-day window. If you go through it, implement everything, and don't feel you got the value, we'll refund you your full investment after 14 days. So that is a huge guarantee. So if you're a salesperson, you can look at it two ways. A lot of people like to go, oh, don't let them into that guarantee mindset. They shouldn't be thinking like that. My way of thinking is, if it's going to help them and get them over the line, absolutely use it, leverage it, lean on it massively, sell on it and have conviction on it and say, look, if you do this and you don't feel it's going to go, 100% refund, because sales is an energy game. It's conviction, right? If he feels that you're genuine and it's like, wow, that's the truth and that's what's going to happen, that sounds amazing, he's all in. If you sound weird about it and you're trying to be funny and you're like, well, you shouldn't really be having that mindset, then it's not going to help anyone. So have conviction and lean on it and show him that, yeah, it's going to be fine.
Criteria for that might be in terms of time frame, because obviously you're going to cover yourself. You're not going to give away all the info and the time only for people to say, oh, actually 6 months in, it's not for me. So it's almost a case of what's the sort of criteria for that refund in terms of how that might apply?
Yeah, so the refund's pretty straightforward. Obviously, it's not something we'd want it to get to.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening, but it's really straightforward. It's a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest with you, for this cohort, which is come in for 14 days, use that, book in as many calls as you want, go through the training as quickly as you want, do whatever you need to do to get a bit of a taste, because naturally it's, if I'm being honest with you, if we're just thinking hypothetically standpoint, it's almost like before you were able to ride about a bike, right? Speaking to success stories, it's like asking people that are riding a bike, what's it like? What's like riding a bike? Is it really difficult? But then in reality, you never really know until you get on the bike and start riding it. So with this standpoint, I think it's a case of you dip your toe in the water.
So one thing that I always use in sales is simple analogies. I always use analogies because what it does is it breaks down difficult and sometimes uncomfortable things to people into very simple and easy things to understand, where they go, aha. That's all I want an analogy to do. That makes sense. Because if that happens, then I've got them in my way of thinking, my frame. And if they can agree to my frame, they're then going to make decisions as a result out of that frame, because they want to remain consistent. It comes back to the consistency bias. So again, as much as I'm going to explain the guarantee, I did want to go back and sort of check him a little bit with the fact he wanted to talk to the students and basically say, hang on a second, buddy, just so you know, that doesn't make sense. And then I give a simple analogy. It's like riding a bike. You know, you can try and read a manual about riding a bike, and you can ask people that can ride it, you know, what's it like? But you're never going to know unless you get on the bike and start riding it yourself. And basically what that analogy means is you can speak to all the success stories you want, but unless you actually take action, invest in yourself and go all in, you're never going to know whether it's going to work or not.
14 days, you get access to all the material. And if after 14 days,
Okay.
whatever reason you don't think it's, you get, and it's a no questions asked, full refund.
Okay.
I just don't like it, refund. Like, you know, and, quite surprising, but yeah, we've got the confidence in that, the offer itself and what's been provided and the success stories that's on the table, you know.
Okay. Cool. Okay. No, that makes sense. Okay. So next steps then, I guess it's me giving a yay or nay, is it?
There's many parts in this call where average salespeople could let the deal slip away, whereby he flips it back on you and you could crumble. You stand strong in your frame. This is why you need to have an objection handling process, and you need to know, just like in discovery, you go to bang, to bang, to bang, right? You need to know the exact same in objection handling. You need to know exactly the different objections and how to go about handling them and how to get them back in your way of thinking. And how to go back to asking for the sale in a way that's not obvious. Okay, and I'm going to try and not go as high level as possible because I want to keep it simple for you guys, but that's just the brief of it, effectively. So there's many times that he flips it back on me, and it's like he's almost testing how salesy am I trying to be. But I just want to stay neutral and just like, it's up to you. When do you want to make a decision? When do you think it's right? Because I know I can objection handle this guy until whenever, and I'll get him, okay? Because I know he's a good fit, and I know he wants to do this, and I know I can help him. But you don't be too salesy. Well, you've got to make the decision now. Well, usually we make the decisions on the call. You can say that, but you need a little bit of an explanation why. Maybe something like, yeah, you know, usually we do sort of make decisions on the call because, to be honest with you, our best clients are the ones that are more, you know, the most committed and just sort of go all in. And that's just from what we've seen, to be honest with you. But again, it's up to you. Do you see what I mean? I still said it, but I sort of softened it a little bit. So I'd be careful about being, you got to do it today. Let them come to their own conclusion. If you're good enough at handling objections, they're going to come to it anyway.
Essentially, I mean, how you sort of feel? I know there's a bit of, you know, concern around the what was it more about regarding? Because I know that the refund question would probably be around what more or less.
Again, I don't want to say yes or no there, because if I say yes or no, it's like we're in no man's land. I still understand there's uncertainty within where he's at, so I sort of want to go back and go, yeah, but before we say is it a yes or no now, I just want to know, like, are you 100% clear? Like, let's go back to what your objection was and let's get clarity and let's handle that before I say it's a yes or no. Because once I handle that, sort it out, and then agree for a yes or no, he's likely to say yes. But if I say it now, there's still objections there brewing I haven't dealt with.
What's inside, what's included, or what was it sort of more around, Nigel, I suppose?
If I have concerns about this being a success or not, in the sort of, well, short, medium and long term, they're not necessarily concerns that I would have about land profits or Ella or everything that is being made available to me. The concerns that I have are probably based on experience, knowing that whether or not I have the time and the commitment to really make this a success. You know, do I want to? Yes. Do I think I can? Completely. But that still doesn't mean that I will, and that, you know, I could sign up in 2-3 weeks time, still not have had the time to look at anything or got things going. So they're the questions that I feel I need to ask myself and get straight before I say, okay, here's 6K, let's.
Again, now we can see the real objection. The real objection is actually like timing, and he doesn't feel that he has the necessary, like, time to commit to this and go all in. He's worried that he's going to invest and he's not actually going to put the time in. It's going to be a waste of money. So what I need to do is reframe his mindset and go, well, timing's not even real. Timing's just a matter of priorities. So if this is a priority, you'll make the time. So the question is doing X, Y, and Z for you and your family a priority or not? Yes, it is. Okay, so do you think putting time aside to building this business would make sense? Yes or no? Yes, I do. So where do you think we should go from here? Again, that was just off the tongue. That was Again, what we're doing is we're just making sure that, you know, timing, you know, don't try and give me timing, Because timing is just a matter of priorities. Again, I'm changing his frame of thinking here.
Yes. But obviously they're questions that I have of myself more than back to you.
Yeah, 100%. No.
So you see what I mean there? He's saying he's got his own questions. So he's basically hinting that he wants to go away and figure them out himself. When I know that's not going to work, that's not going to help me, or it's not going to help you. What's going to help is we both address them on this call, sort it out, and get you signed up.
I get that. And I think what it's going to really come down to is a matter of priorities. You know, like everyone can say that they want the freedom, they want the independence, they want their own business. Yeah. You've got to imagine that not having time is really a matter of priority in essence. And look, I know it's sometimes easy for people to say that don't have a ton of responsibility. 100% get that. But then there are people that have been in worse off positions that have made time. You know, and look, if it wasn't a viable option, there wouldn't be much point even figuring out if there's time or not, because it's just completely time. But where it more so is, it's like, you know, the feelings I would imagine, and obviously this is, you know, an assumption, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the feelings that you probably have at the moment regarding what you're doing at the moment, what it is that you want, probably won't go away. And with time, I would imagine they'll just get, you know, more amplified. So yep. I wouldn't, unless something happens regarding your job in terms of, I don't see you going back. I only see people progressing in their career over years, which means more responsibility, which therefore means more time put into a company. Timing's just always going to be the issue then, surely?
No, I understand. Yeah, okay. Balls in my court, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, that sort of like awkward balls in my court. He's sort of, you know, he's waiting for me to go, yeah, you got to make a decision. It's like, no, let's just come on. You're almost there. Let's just keep pushing you there. I know you're going to get there. Something's going to go off. A light bulb's going to go off in a minute, and you're going to say, yes, let's do this.
Because I think, look, if you put 8 to 10 hours a day, not a day, rather, a week, you know, you're in a good position to give this back.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because I hadn't asked it outright, but is that the sort of, obviously, you know, if anyone can do more, that's great. The more is always going to be better. But 8 to 10 hours a week, would you say that's a minimum requirement, really, to actually move forward and make a success?
Minimum, I'd say if you put 8 to 10 hours.
And again, just a side note, guys, when people start talking about like timing, it's just stupid. Like, that's not the way that they should be thinking. It's like, oh, let me try and put the minimum amount of time in. No, what you should be thinking is, how can I make this a 100% success? That's all you should be thinking. But I just want logistically to him to understand. I want to go down the logistical route here rather than emotional of like, well, how much time do you have? Because this is all you need. So if you have 8 to 10 hours, let's just move on. There is no issue. And that was why I said it.
Put yourself in a position where you can see success. Yeah. Okay. If you put more in, you know, fantastic. But then it's, you know, 8 to 10 hours from a more assured route to getting that 50K, 75, 100K profit at the end of it, because there's a joint venture. So rather than, God, am I going to put in all these hours for a waste of time where I've got to do the planning, I've got to bring this solicitor. It's like, well, short-term sacrifice, long-term gain sort of thing.
Okay. All right, okay. Cool, thank you. Do you need a yay or nay from me now, or is it something okay?
You're coming back with it again! Again, he wants me to sell him. But I'm just going to sit there, I'm going to stay strong, and again, we're going to come to this decision together. I don't need to sell you, but I'm going to make you come to the decision yourself that you need to do this. And that is what it's all about with coaching and consulting, guys. Making them understand that they need to do this, right? Internal urgency, not external.
Back to you with later on.
It's completely up to you from your side of things in terms of your decision-making process and what you feel is probably going to be right. But I think it's more of a question of, are you sort of willing to allow timing to be the issue to stop you sort of from getting where it is you actually want to be?
The question is never, do you want to do this coaching program or not? That's never the question. Because it's very easy to say no. Anyone can say no to a free 5, 10K coaching program. Anyone can say, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. That's easy, right? What we want to make it a question of is, do you want to say no to having more freedom, being with your family, being the best version of you, and actually being able to provide and give your family the life that they want? Are you willing, okay, to not have that, right? Because if we have them say no to their goals, it's much harder to say no to than a coaching program. So we want to attach the coaching program to them getting their goals and being the best version of them. So the question's always, well, I mean, you know, what does the best version you do in this situation so that he can provide for his family? And in 12 months' time, he's put them in the best possible position where he's now quit his job. He can now see his daughter go to her school activities after school and actually watch her grow up and be the father that he wants to be. What does the best version of him do right now? Does he push forward and draw a line in the sand and actually commit? Or does he go back, go in a shell and do what he normally does, which is go away, think about it and mull it over? What do you think he does? That's the question, not do you want to do the program or not? Okay?
For it to always keep stopping you, or how do you feel?
I'm pretty much there. I'm very, very much leaning to let's just hit the go button and move forward. But like I said, sometimes when you've had your fingers a little bit...
We've almost got him, but now he's mentioning he's got his fingers burnt in the past, and that is the issue. So you're telling me, by the sounds of things, you're 100% in. The only thing holding you back is this bad experience that you've had.
In the past, and please don't take that as a derogatory comment towards anyone associated with land profits. It's just experience. You just kind of want to just tread a little bit more carefully.
And was that more or less regarding the, I'm assuming...
Again, this is why having a good discovery is so important. You win the sale in discovery. I won this sale in discovery, not the objection handling. I just want to make that clear. I had a very good discovery. I came across as an authority and a trusted advisor. He had respect for me, and I brought him through the chapters of the book, front to back. I didn't rush. I took him through the chapters, and I didn't move on from the chapter until he sold me. Again, that's a really important thing. You do not move on from discovery until they sell you that they want to do this. I'll repeat that. You do not move on from discovery until they are selling you that they want to do this. Not us selling them selling us. That's why I'm asking these questions in discovery, and I'm going through the chapters of the book, and there's a 11 chapter sequence that I've created that takes any prospect, B2C, BizOp usually, from cold to a closed deal. And that's what I took him through on this call. And that was why I was able to close them, as well as the objection handling. But again, it's always important to understand. That's why I had the context from the discovery to ask him, was that with the other thing?
The rent to SA, mentorships more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I've paid out a couple of times for things which didn't necessarily materialize into everything that I thought they were going to be. But
so he had a bad experience with doing Airbnb coaching, and which I used to sell that, so I know it quite well. So he had bad experience. It didn't quite get him to where he wanted to be. He had a bad experience investing in a coaching program to do at Airbnb. So it's still within the property niche, but this is planning uplifting, like more development type. That was more like service-based business. So again, I just want to really polar opposite them. Like, this is here, that's there. Like, they're not the same whatsoever.
In terms of what was being offered and the people offering them. And hindsight's a great thing, but with hindsight, had I have done a bit more due diligence in those situations, I feel I would have potentially made different decisions, or gone down different roads. But despite that, I've got a successful business that's been running a couple of years now, so I can't be too negative about it.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look at from an investor standpoint, what you would have put in, whether it's a few sort of grand, to
again making them understand. Yeah, you could say that. Maybe it wasn't a great investment, but at the end of the day, like he told me in Discovery, his Airbnb business is still doing like 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a month. So it's like, well, maybe it didn't work out completely how you wanted it to be. But let's say you've invested £5,000 in the coaching program. If you had the business for a year, 6 times 12 months is £72,000. That's a pretty good ROI if you ask me.
How long ago that would have been to the cash flow you probably now received. I'd imagine it's a good multiple, right?
Yeah,
but
completely.
At the same time, the industry that we've discussed today, maybe it just wasn't the right industry, and maybe it just wasn't suited. Like you said, everyone paints this picture that all property is great and rent to SA property, when in reality, it's actually more of a hospitality business.
Yeah, 100%.
Separating them.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say as well, just as a final comment, is I get being burnt, and I wouldn't say, like I said, just gone through a fair share of mentorship. Some have been good, some have been bad, but it's almost like the example I used to like to give is everyone's had their first girlfriend or their first person that they were with when they were younger. And it's like when you broke up with them or they broke up with you, at the end of it, you didn't go, right, that is it. I'm never getting a relationship again. Right, they're all terrible. I don't want to see a woman again. That's it. I'm just going to be alone until I'm 90 now. Because if we all did that, well, we'd probably never find out the partner we're ever going to be with and get married and be happy. But again, you need that criteria of that hasn't worked. I know what I don't want. So when I see something I want, rather than letting the bad experiences go, screw it, you could miss out on a long, long life of happiness with a potential partner you want to be with. And I'm not saying this is 100% it. That's for you to determine, but it's definitely something to think about.
What I was doing there, guys, again, I knew that the only thing holding him back was a bad experience. Now, I needed to give him a very simple analogy for him to understand that you can't let a bad experience stop you getting what you want, because you might be missing a really great thing in front of you. And I used a very simple analogy. A lot of you sales guys have probably heard it from Alex Hormozy, where he basically explains, look, we've all had girlfriends, we've all had partners, and when we were 18, 19, 20, we probably broke up with them. But after that breakup, I'm sure we didn't go, right, I'm never getting a girlfriend again. I never want to get married. I'm never bloody touching a woman. I'm done with them all. Because if we did that, we'd never find our wife that we're with and have 20, 30, 40 years of happiness and have kids and have a great life with them and be happy. So you can't let that bad experience affect you making decisions moving forward, because you could miss out on a lifelong of happiness. So I gave him that simple mindset shift of him understanding that it's basically the example of the old Airbnb coaching and us. You know, we're his future wife potentially, and that was his old girlfriend. But I also said, rather than just chucking it at him, I said, but I'm not saying, again, leaning out, but I'm not saying we're that. That's completely up to you to determine. But it's something to think about. Now, again, between me and you guys, this was never really going to be my last comment, right? But I knew that if I showed him that I was going away a little bit and that I'm leaning out, that he would lean in and it would result in a sale.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's just move forward then, because I'm going to be here. I could be here in a day or a week or a month. I'm in an hour and over the same things then. So yeah, let's hit that go button and proceed and do whatever we need to do next.
Let's bloody do it. Let's tack it with momentum.
Get in the bin. You see a lot of salespeople, like one thing I'll never get, like I've closed over 3 million in high ticket sales, 10 million in corporate sales, right? You know, one thing I always see is like sales guys just not celebrating when they close a deal. Like, I don't care how small a deal is. I'm celebrating that every single day. Don't get me wrong. I only celebrate it for 2, 3, 4 minutes and I'm on to the next deal. But guys, like if you're in sales, celebrate your wins. Like you're never too big. You're never too like, you know, I've closed 100 million, you know, I don't celebrate anymore. It's like, no. Every deal you close, big, small, medium, you've got to celebrate them. You've got to celebrate the wins. I used to play football at a very high level. I'd celebrate every goal I used to score, whether that was in the park, whether that was in training, whether that was, you know, a Sunday league game, whatever it may be. I'd always celebrate them, and it's the same in sales.
Okay.
One thing I could have done here, though, guys, when he said, yeah, I'm 100% ready, let's press the button, is lean out one more time. I should have done that. I should have done, are you sure? You don't have to. And just got him to double down. I should have done that. But again, still was fine.
Do that. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I'll send over the enrollment link. We can walk and we're ready to sort of rock and roll from there effectively.
Just making it go fast forward, but this is just me processing the payment just so you can see that it was processed on the call and all that.
Yeah, with Stripe, I think it gives you the option to do your, I don't know if it gives you the Apple Pay option. It should do. Let me know if it does, Nigel.
It gives me the option. I need to, but no, I need to put it on my business card. So,
that's all good. Whether it's an Amex or Tile or whatever it is, that's all good.
Good. So I'm just trying to do it on my phone, so big fat finger here. One sec. Scan card, so.
Have you been within the same company for the same amount of time, or have you been sort of around?
Bit
on the same screen, does it just say thank you?
Yeah, I just want to say always a little bit of small talk. When someone's paying, when someone's putting their credit card details in, always make sure that they're doing it. So yeah, just while you're taking care of that, or just while you're doing that, or while you're filling out your details, so sort of push them towards doing it, but then always saying like, oh, what is it you're doing on the weekend, or how long have you been doing your job? Bit of small talk as well. You know, you don't want it to be this serious, oh, I'm putting my cards in, like, because then it's very like, it's very like, chill, you just, you know, while you take care of that, ask them a question, okay? Just a small little tip.
It just said thank you. Yes, I just saying there, thanks for payment. Shows it was going through.
Awesome, fantastic. Yeah, that should be all good. What I'll do now is I'll just drop down a message to send out an onboarding email, just basically laying out the next steps, giving you access to the portal and everything else in the middle. But all I suggest my end is genuinely, and I really do mean this, is utilise the hell out of those one-to-ones. You know.
And what I was doing there, guys, is something that a lot of you sales guys should do, or people getting in the space. Once someone's bought, give them reassurance, give them confidence, give them a bit of motivation. Go like attack it. You know, don't just be like, yeah, you've got your money and move on. You know, because you want to make sure that they do see success and you have helped them. And like, look, attack it. Use the one-to-ones. Ask for help when needed, and really make sure that they go through this, because it will sort of decrease your refund rate and ensure that like no one refunds. That doesn't happen much within the space at all, but I'm just saying as a tip, guys. So that was that. High ticket sales call, the last 20 minutes of a call, giving you an understanding of like dropping the investment, going through an objection handling sequence, and just giving you an understanding of that. So that was a £6,000 closed deal, $8,000. So I made £600 in that 45-minute call. So guys, this is remote high ticket closing. You take warm inbound calls and you close them on the call. That is it. The better you are, the more that you make. Guys, the more skilled you get, the easier it becomes to close these calls. Okay, because to be honest with you, not a lot of closers wouldn't have closed this guy on the call. They probably would have booked a follow-up and he wouldn't have showed up to the follow-up and then he wouldn't have closed. So that's why it's so important. Train mock calls, role plays. Actually master the skill and spend time developing the skill. Do not rush getting on a remote sales job, because it will pay you dividends once you're on a remote sales job. Guys, that's been it for today. I will see you in the next video. Take care.